Hi everyone, my name is Amy, this is The Opinionated Woman, and today I am filming my very first ever mid-year book freakout tag. I haven't been on YouTube for more than a year, so I haven't had the opportunity to do these, and I think these videos are such a nice way to succinctly sort of go through your reading without letting me rabbit on forever. Before we get started, there are a few of these questions that didn't really apply to me, like I didn't have an answer for them, so I'm just leaving them out for the sake of brevity. Right, so let's get into it. So the best book that I've read of the year so far is In the Dreamhouse by Carmen and Machado. This is a memoir obviously about the author, and a abusive same-sex relationship that she was in. This book is told in a series of really lyrical vignettes, and it's so beautifully written and so important and so unfortunately relatable for me that it really got me right in the chest. It was between this book and another book that I'm going to be mentioning later on in this video, but this one really won out because of how hard it really hit me, because of the shared experiences that I've had with the author, and it was something so beautifully written and so important. Even though it's written about something, it's my favorite book, even though it's written about something sad, which says a lot to how important this book is and how much I think you should all read it. The next is a new release that you would like to get to, and mine is for sure One Last Stop by McQuiston. It's already on Scribd, it's already on my radar, it's happening. Obviously this book is a massive booktube darling already, well, we will see, but the author's debut, Red, White and Royal Blue, was on everybody's radar last year. It was like on so many, was it the last year or the year before? It was on so many favorites of the year lists, and this one is, as opposed to Red, White and Royal Blue, which was based around a male-male romance, this is a sapphic romance, and that is all I need to know. I loved that book so much. I think it's the proper, first sort of queer romance that I'd ever read before, and I would find myself standing on the landing of the stairs, just zoning out, listening to this book. And if this book is anything like Red, White and Royal Blue, I will be ecstatic. My most anticipated release that is still coming, and it still counts because it's getting released next month, and that is Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. I read Leah Johnson's first novel, You Should See Me in a Crown, last year, and it was just the funnest queer book full of black joy that I could possibly have asked for. I really freaking loved it. It was so much fun while tackling things that were important at the same time. All I know about this title is that it features two queer black girls who meet at a festival, and it's written by Leah Johnson. That is all I need to know. I'm super excited for it, and would you look at this cover? My God, that is gorgeous. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. The next book isn't as fun. The most disappointing book that you've had of the year so far. So this isn't really the worst book that I've read of the year so far, but it is definitely the most disappointing, and that is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan. I obviously, along with many other people, really freaking loved Cemetery Boys last year. It was such a wonderfully funny and engaging, but also serious and important novel about trans youth and witches and all of that goodness all in one go. So I was so excited for Lost in the Neverwoods. Unfortunately, this one didn't work for me. It's a Peter Pan retelling that is set in the present day, with Wendy Darling as our main character. And for me, this was supposed to be older YA. Wendy's supposed to be 18, but for me it read very, very young, which, I mean, it probably means this book just isn't written for me. I did find it quite melodramatic, quite over the top, and by the end I was sort of just skimming to get to the end, unfortunately, though I definitely will be picking up Cemetery Boys #2 and anything else this author writes, but I think I'll be definitely picking them up in a physical format rather than audio, because I don't get along with the narrator of Aidan Thomas's books. I think he reads it far too slowly for my liking and makes it sound very simplistic rather than conversational. So yeah, I think I will be definitely picking up Aidan Thomas's work in the physical copy, which helps because all of his books are stunning. So I'll just, I'm perfectly fine with that. The biggest surprise of this year for me has been The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Now, I didn't expect this book to be bad in any sense of the word. I'd heard so many people talking about how incredible it was. But the reason I found it most surprising is that I did not expect to like a novel written in verse. I've never been much for poetry, though now I've realized that I really do enjoy poetry in novel form, or if it's read to me. So like I listened to Halsey's poetry for Pride Month, and that really got in there way better than if I'd been reading it myself, because I just think I struggle with the rhythm and getting like, you know, the vibe of it feeling right. But The Poet X, just very roughly, it's about our main character Siamara, who is a poet who's just learning about slam poetry, and she's growing up with a twin in a very religious household, and it's just about her navigating her world and trying to express herself in a way that maybe her family wouldn't have been too receptive to, and finding her own identity within a world that is very restricted. And now I want to read absolutely everything Elizabeth Acevedo has ever written. And because this was such a hit for me, I picked up another novel in verse, this time physically, which also worked for me. See, I'm learning, I'm getting better, but that one I'll be mentioning a little bit later. For my new favorite author, oh my God, I had the absolute pleasure of picking up Akwaeke Emezi for the first time this year. This wasn't the first book of theirs that I picked up. This is their YA pet. I picked this up for Pride Month and I absolutely loved it. The amount of beauty that they fit into such a small amount of pages, it just blows my mind. But the first book of theirs that I picked up was Freshwater. I picked it up at the beginning of the year. It was very close, very, very close to being my best of the year. But in the Dreamhouse, just won it out by a tiniest little scooch. Freshwater is semi-autobiographical, and which makes me even more excited with the fact that they just released their memoir called a Black Spirit memoir. It's called Dear Centauran. And I am so excited to figure that out. And I'm so excited to pick that up because just the fact that it was semi-autobiographical had me so interested in seeing the world from a completely different perspective, that is so divorced from the Western way of thinking that I am really wanting to get in, like really delve into the Black Spirit side of what Freshwater explored. I also am very keen to pick up their other novel, The Death of Vivek OG. So basically what I'm trying to say in a very unsuccinct way is that I want to pick up absolutely everything Akwaeke Emezi ever writes. And also, if you want an Instagram recommendation, follow them on Instagram. Their Instagram account is freaking, so good, so good. My new favorite character of the year, so far this year, is without a doubt Bree from Legendborn. Oh, this girl, I freaking love her. I love her with all my heart, and I cannot wait for the second book so that I can find out what happens to her. So Bree is a black girl who is going to this university that is her mother's alma mater. She's going there a little bit early, she's only 16, and she finds herself embroiled in this secret society within the school that is based around Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, which is super fascinating. And what I really love about Bree is she does not give one fuck. She very much she's come into the secret society very much on the out because she doesn't know all of the ins and outs of this society. She's also a person of color, which is not something that you see in that society whatsoever. And does she give a shit? No. We get so many occasions where a character that is more in the know about what is happening will come up to her and be like, you shouldn't talk to this person, you shouldn't do this. And within a lot of stories, I think you would get the characters being like, okay, cool, I won't do that. And Bree's like, oh, yeah, really? I do what the fuck I want. And she just does it. She is so unapologetically strong in her convictions and will do whatever the fuck she thinks is right. instead of being told what to do by other people. And I absolutely love that about her. So yeah, I will read every single book in this series because of how much I love Bree as a character. The book that has made me cry this year, this could be a couple, but I am going to have to say the book that I picked up that I actually finished off last week, and that is Love, Frankie by Jacqueline Wilson. I cried when I found out this book existed, let alone actually reading the damn thing. I'm an emotional bitch. I knew this would make me cry, and it did. And I caught it on camera, if you want to see that in my vlog. It wasn't particularly for any sad moment. It was like a happy tears moment. It was just like, I'm so glad this exists kind of moment. I was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like, oh goodness gracious. So this is basically Jacqueline Wilson's first sapphic romance that she's ever written, or sapphic book that she's ever written, especially since she's come out as a lesbian. She lives with her life partner now, which is so wonderful for me because I've been reading Jacqueline Wilson since I was a child. I've always felt a really strong bond with this author and her characters, and now I know why. So me, in my little lesbian heart, I cried when I found out this book was coming out. I cried when I found out Jacqueline Wilson was a lesbian, and I cried in one of the moments in here that a lot of people probably wouldn't have cried at. But you know what? I'm just going to own it. I love this book, and it made me cry. I recommend picking this up. Anyone of any age, pick up this book. It's real good. Conversely to that, the book that made me happy is another Pride reading vlog. I swear I should just read gay shit all the time because all of my favorites are coming out of my Pride Month reading. But the book that made me super happy this month, or this year so far, is Loveless by Alice Oseman. Now this may sound completely like strange to say because this is a very important book talking about an unrepresented identity that tackles a lot of issues of self-discovery, and it tackles it on a lot of different levels, in a public way, in an internal way, and it follows our main character, whose name I cannot remember now, Georgia, as she's starting university, her relationship with her two best friends, her relationship with her new roommate, and discovering things about herself along the way, and trying to figure out who the hell she is and how the hell she identifies and where she fits in the world. And this book was just a fucking joy. The relationships that were sewn together within this novel were absolutely spectacular. It was funny, like laugh out loud funny. Their mannerisms were freaking amazing. I remember comparing it in my vlog to Sex Education, like that same kind of humor and everything, and the way that the friendship group comes together. It's super like Sex Education. So if you enjoyed that series, I'd highly recommend Loveless. And it was just so damn heartwarming. Like the relationships that she had with her friends that take over the relationships that people who aren't asexual. Did I say that was about asexuality? It's about asexuality. Oh, I'm very bad at this. I haven't filmed in so long. Whoopsie. But yeah, the way that her relationships become so important, and the way that they show that in fact people who are asexual are not loveless. They have bountiful amounts of love. It just may not be in the romance focused way that a lot of us have come to think about love, and it just does it so perfectly. Alice Oseman writes friendships like no other, so I would highly recommend picking up Loveless. Now, 2 books I need to read by the end of the year. I don't really put myself under too many like reading restrictions, I suppose. But 2 books that I definitely want to read are The Hand on the Wall by Maurenn Johnson. This is the final book in the Truly Devious trilogy. I really enjoyed the first 2, and there are a few like loose ends that need to be brought together within this mystery. So I really want to find out what happens, and I really can't wait to revisit those characters again. It's based around a school, and the school has a bunch of special students, and our main character Stevie is there because her special interest is true crime and a mystery that happened at the school around this person called Truly Devious, and she's trying to find out what has happened within this mystery, and a whole bunch of other things come up, and it's very hard for me to say anything about it because this is obviously the 3rd in a series. But yes, I definitely need to get to that one. The other book that I need to get to, it's up there. One moment. It's The Crimson Petal and the White by Michel Faber. Now, I've had this book on my TBR for the longest time. Ever since I heard Jen Campbell talk about it, I wanted to read Michel Faber for the longest time. Now this has been made into a series. My girlfriend showed me little clips of it, and it looks stunning. This is obviously that one. It's a big, old, chunky boy, but I definitely want to get to this one, like probably quite soon after Pride Month. Because I'm doing well with my reading goals this year. This is also borrowed from my girlfriend because she is a fan. So I definitely want to get to this by the end of the year so I can give it back to her. But also I am super intrigued, and it seems really atmospheric and beautiful, and I'm super excited. I love delving into a big, old, chunky boy, you know, and just like really getting enveloped in the characters. I would much prefer to pick up a big, old, long book than I would a novella. It just suits my reading better. Our penultimate question, what is the most beautiful book that you've picked up this year? And this one is without a doubt another Pride read. It's Black Flamingo by Deonn Atta. Look at this book. I hope this is focusing, but like it's all foiled and it's beautiful. It's got the feathers all over it, and inside is just as beautiful. This is the novel in verse that I was talking about that I picked up because I enjoyed the Poet X so much, and the fact that it's so beautiful, just, it helps so much. This is about our main character Michael, who is discovering his sexuality and expressing himself through the medium of drag, and it is a real wild ride. It's a real wild ride, and it's definitely going to be making it to my favorite books of the year so far, as well as being absolutely stunning. And the final question, what is a booktuber that you have been enjoying? And I watch a hell of a lot of Booktube, I watch a hell of a lot of YouTube in general, but someone that I've been consistently watching recently is Ashley from Frolic Through Fiction. I am very, very far behind in a lot of my YouTube watching, and Ashley consistently puts up vlogs, and they are so calming and so aesthetically pleasing, and her accent is so adorable. I don't actually know where that accent is from. I feel like if I'd been watching her for longer, I would be able to find out. But I just love watching her vlogs and having her chat and her beautiful musical interludes that she puts together. It's just all, it's all tip top, I tell you. So I will link Ashley down below. And with that, that is the first mid-year book freakout tag of the Opinionated Women's History. Hopefully this is going to be one of many, because I'm super enjoying doing this. Like, even though, like, people always say you start YouTube, you know, and you've got to be okay with nobody watching for a little while. And I'm enjoying doing this so much that I really don't even care. Would I like this to become a thing? Hell yeah. Am I having fun anyway? Also hell yeah. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a like, maybe subscribe, tickle my bell for notifications. My coffee account, which is my little virtual tip jar, will always be linked down below. Any support is much appreciated. And yeah, until next time, I'll check it.